that we're going to be covering here this morning, approaching the afternoon, of course, on the East Coast. Thanks so much for watching on the East Coast, Central Time Zone, Mountain Time Zone, West Coast, and anywhere else out there watching us live. My name is Matthew Alvarez. If you'd like to follow me on Truth Social, it's at Matthew Alvarez, or on X, it's at Matthew US Media. This is RSBN Live. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Every once in a while, something big happens, something that changes everything. And now, in a defining moment for crypto, Trump Media Group and Crypto.com are joining forces to acquire up to $6.4 billion of CRO, launching America's first ever CRO treasury, empowering the Kronos blockchain. This is more than a partnership. It's the future of finance built in America. For more, visit Crypto.com, where millions trade CRO every day.
Tired of being told no by your doctor, your pharmacy, or worse, your insurance company? You're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to a broken healthcare system. That's why more and more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy. We believe in medical freedom. We deliver the prescription and the medication, all from licensed U.S. doctors and pharmacists, from ivermectin and trusted antibiotics to maintenance medications, even NAD+, the revolutionary anti-aging supplement. Use code RSBN10 at checkout for 10% off your first order.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
All right, welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 12:01 Eastern Time on this Thursday, December 4th. Hopefully back into the work week by now. It's Thursday, right? This has been a kind of a quick week, I think, so far, after the Thanksgiving break and all that. But looking forward to seeing the president there in just a little bit, as we know that the president will participate in a signing ceremony with the president of the Republic of Rwanda and the president of the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's going to be at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. That's the first time we're covering an event at that building. That will be live. We will be there, and we are here right now covering it. So thanks so much for streaming in for that. Also, later today, a couple other notable programming notes. At 6 o'clock, the president and the first lady will participate in the national Christmas tree lighting on the Ellipse. Our coverage will start at 4 o'clock Eastern with Robert McNeely. At 5 o'clock is the pre-program, so you can catch some of that coverage later tonight. We watched yesterday, my family and I, the Rockefeller Christmas tree lighting in New York on one of the networks, and I'll watch from afar. I'd rather not have to go into New York City until things get cleaned up there. Holy smokes, it's not on the right side of history right now, and we'll see how that goes as the Mayor Mamdani will be sworn in on January 1st, 2026. All right, so 12:02, Thursday, December 4th. Let's go to one of our sponsors here, mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, Merry Christmas. Save up to 80% this holiday. And you can do that at mypillow.com/RSBN. A lot of great products there as well, so you could check them all out. Everything from the My Pillow to the My Coffee, My Slippers, all the things. I said to my wife the other day, I'm like, Mike's brilliant. Because sometimes if you're looking for something, like, where's my coffee or where's my pillow? You're already saying the guys' names of the products. It's pretty cool. And then I thought about, what about my phone? Maybe Mike would want to link up with some other conservative carriers out there and call it the My Phone. I don't know. Just a thought. Anyway, mypillow.com/RSBN. That's a great spot to go to. Of course, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, you can do so by texting RSBN to 801-801 or go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. You see it right there. Text RSBN to 801-801. That's the place to donate to the network. As, of course, we have great sponsors here. We love telling you about our sponsors and also the donors of the network for a number of years now. Since 2015, if you remember all those rallies, we don't forget them, and all the people that we spoke to prior to the rallies in cities across this country, people just like yourself that have been, some of you have been there, whether it's Grand Rapids, Michigan, Rapid City, South Dakota, Miami, Florida, Phoenix, Arizona. I remember one in Reno, Nevada. They're all over the place. How about the Bronx, New York? All of those huge events. And we were chanting USA, USA, right? All those great times. Well, we the people, we are alive and well. And the majority of this nation simply wants the freedom to worship God, have families, right? Loves our country, loves freedom, and truth, justice, and the American way. All right, as we await President Trump, let's now go to Noel Frisch with the National File. He joins us now. Noel, thanks so much for joining us on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Happy to be here.
Let's talk about a number of things. I mean, there's a lot that you guys work on at the National File, and of course, I follow you guys on X as well. What are some stories top of mind outside of maybe the breaking news of today with the J6 suspected bomber?
Yeah, well, a lot of this stuff just all connects, as I know you know, Matt. So coming out of a lot of this Pentagon, I'm just going to say fluff that we've had, something else that's going on, kind of sub rasa, is there is kind of like a deep state effort to try to, at the very minimum, pinch Secretary Hegseth, if not totally remove him. And that's how these guys work. What they want to do is they want to damage you so that you basically have to, the deep state that is, so that you basically have to either play ball with them and do what they want, or they can just get rid of you entirely. And so they're always playing for a couple of different options. And so, we've got big issues still stemming from, of course, this Afghanistan withdrawal and the subsequent invasion that was engineered by the Republican leaders in the House and the Senate to bring all of the Afghani terrorists here. It was interesting, Matt. I was doing a Google search earlier there, and I found a Pew poll from 2013, I believe that it is. And they were asking various questions, and they broke it down by country. There are differences between some of the Islamic countries, kind of, okay, is what I would say. In general, however, all of Islam wants to basically do harm to the United States. The definition of Islam, if you go read their foundational documents, is peace equals everyone under the subjugation of Islam. It's really important that everybody start to get this education now in this new context that we're in, because there are existential threats inside of our borders, as we now see. And so going back to 2013, 99% of Afghanis believe that Sharia law should be imposed on the whole planet. I wonder if anybody brought that up. I know there were a couple of people who pushed back a little bit. J.D. Vance was one of those, I believe, who pushed back on the resettlement of all of these refugees. The president, our President Trump, pushed back on it. It doesn't make sense, a lot of it. And of course, we had the standard voices pushing for resettling all of these refugees. I would say that Glenn Beck is one of those, but we had, of course, Lindsey Graham and Senator Blumenthal and like a bipartisan cadre of some of the worst people on the planet who happen to be in our Congress and in the Senate in specific, pushing to bring all these people here. Well, did any of them take note that literally all Afghanis, according to Pew, want to impose Sharia law on the planet? And Lindsey Graham's on the floor of the Senate saying, well, these are good people. We need to bring them in here. And, we owe them. Sorry, Lindsey, but we don't. I'm sorry. We don't owe them. Just because the Bushes decided to go take over the poppy fields in Afghanistan. And then literally hand over. There's an amazing tweet from Sarah Adams on Twitter that goes through the sheer number of vehicles that we gave these people. I mean, it's like tens and tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of like, armored vehicles and Humvees and all kinds of, like 500,000 guns and firearms, night vision stuff. It's almost as if literally, Joe Biden armed them, and then Lindsey Graham brought them in so that they could tip off this kind of thing that we're seeing here now, which is it's ratcheting up in temperature. This low grade war, this jihad that that Islam is running on the West. We're seeing it all over the place: Texas, Minnesota, Florida, D.C. It's South Carolina. It's everywhere. Obviously, California, San Bernardino stuff, and so this is all happening at the same time when you have essentially like a takeover at the DOD, an attempted takeover by the Secretary of the Army Driscoll, and I guess that they're worried maybe that the DOD isn't friendly enough to Islam, because there are a lot of dollars at stake here to be able to sell a lot of weapons to a lot of countries, and that's who runs the DOD. If the DOD were to say become actually defensive rather than what we've been doing, all this adventurism, there would be a lot of money for all these contractors that they would lose out if we just focused on the United States here and we had a truly America first approach toward running this country. Well, there are a lot of merchant type class people who are really dead set on making billions and billions of dollars selling all kinds of jets and whatnot in arms to Qatar, or Saudi Arabia, or on and on and on. And so what could go wrong? What could go wrong, Matt? I don't we've got to put a stop to all that nonsense. We've got to focus here at home, and the unfortunate situation, the blowback that we're going to see. It's not just going to be the Islamic blowback here that we're seeing on the streets of Washington, D.C. with our National Guards men and women being shot. We're going to see electoral blowback in 2026. The American people do not have an appetite for all this foreign adventurism. They do not have an appetite for all of this nonsense around the globe. Certainly, they don't have an appetite for playing footsie and playing nice with the Islamic world that clearly seeks to exercise a caliphate all over the globe in this current environment. I thought after 9/11 it was supposed to be never forget. What happened? It seems like we've forgotten.
So when people are listening to you right now, and in news media, when you're right down the middle, you're looking at truth, facts, evidence, receipts, and then when you break into situations like this, there's op-ed, opinion editorial. So everybody has that lens when they watch, right? So they're listening to you and you're saying a number of things, number of topics about the Pentagon and about the Department of War and about Islam and all of that. And I could put my hat on and say, well, I agree or I disagree. No. I'm gonna let you keep talking because you have the freedom of speech to do so. But also, can you give the context to people that are saying, who is this guy, Noel Frisch, on the National File? Has he been on conservative media before? The answer is yes. Can you talk to us about some of the stories that you have broke over the past 5 years that are ones that are made headlines that because you were right about something?
Sure. Well, and the answer is I don't do as much TV as maybe I ought to, especially in this crazy info space that we're in. I have a lot of, I have 12. I have 6 kids, 12 and under. 12 would be too many, but 6 sons. So I'm busy at home raising my boys, wrestling, basketball, baseball, raking leaves, all that. But we broke the Ashley Biden diary over at National File. That was a big story on the heels kind of that whole Biden laptop. And that was the great Patrick Howley who broke that for us. He's a weapon. That look, I don't want to take all of the credit, but we were gearing up to do a documentary about that diary leading into June. I was on the Bannon show, actually next to London's one of Hunter's baby mamas. I can't remember. Anyway, she was on the Bannon show with me back last June of 2024, and we were teasing that documentary. Then, of course, we didn't need the documentary because Biden stepped aside. I don't want to take all the credit for that, but I'll give a lot of the credit to Patrick Howley. Patrick Howley got rid of Joe Biden so that we could beat Kamala Harris, so that we could get Donald Trump's second term and his third win. So we've done a lot of stories. The same team used to be at Big League Politics. A story some of the viewers will be familiar with is the blackface Klan hood governor of Virginia, Ralph Northam. And then we still haven't figured out. It's one of those internet things. Was he with the blackface or was he the Klan hood? It's like the dress that was blue or gold. Nobody knows. If anybody remembers that meme from a decade ago. Yeah. And then actually 2 days after that, we also broke the Justin Fairfax story, where Justin Fairfax was lieutenant governor of Virginia, and he had multiple credible rape allegations against him by black Democrat PhD women who are like Stanford professors and stuff like this. And Justin Fairfax's career was effectively ended there. That was a fun 72 hours. In 2020, the Cal Cunningham. So Tom Tillis was about to lose the Senate seat in North Carolina, and we would have lost the Senate in 2020, along with losing the House and the White House. We broke a story. I actually obtained some text messages. Cal Cunningham had a bad October 2020. Let's just say his $100 million Democrat-funded campaign fell off. The wheels fell off because he was stooping. Let's see, the wives of junior officers under his command at Fort Bragg. He was a JAG attorney. Literally, his job was to fire people for doing that sort of thing, and he was there doing it. And so he did not end up becoming the senator. Tom Tillis, who I'm not a huge fan of, saved the Senate at a 50-50. Actually, we got credit from Charlie Kirk on that. Charlie Kirk was a good man. He gave us credit for saving the Senate 50-50 there in the 2020 election. And so we punch way above our weight. And we're always out there looking for high value targets and high value operations to really try to make a difference. There's a lot of the news every day that just doesn't move anything. And in fact, the news every day oftentimes is designed not to move the needle. And so our goal is to push through the noise and try to move the needle for the good guys. And we're doing that now. We feel some of the coverage we've done of Susie Wiles. I've been in touch with the chief of staff to the president in just the last couple of days, and because right now, unfortunately, we have like the lobbyist thing is creeping into DC. That's helping to keep the sort of the train off of the rails here. A lot of people the last month are saying, what's going on? Like Zohrani, or there's Mamdani, Zohrani. There's multiple Islamic terrorist types who are like hanging out in the Oval Office all of a sudden. That's a problem. These are facts. These are not opinions. Mamdani is a commie. What the heck is Mamdani doing in the White House? It used to be the way you practice. I would consider like relations with Mamdani or the mayor of New York elect to be essentially foreign relations. This is not domestic relations. Mamdani, that's a foreign relation meeting, right? So in foreign relations, you don't elevate somebody who is, to be essentially manhandled, scolded, directed, who's, a miscreant, who basically. That's not how foreign relations are practiced. And so, but Mamdani's in the White House getting a glowing, interview with our commander-in-chief. There's some things that are going wrong here that are going to bode very poorly for 2026, because the average voter sees it and they're just like, what? They don't get it. And
so let me say a few things here. So
sure.
One, let's talk about the fact that what do you think is the strategy then going forward to save the United States of America? One. Two, why do you do what you do every day? And three, your thoughts about the late, great Charlie Kirk.
I'll start with Charlie. Charlie was a good man. And so I had a pretty good relationship with Charlie and his team, and still do with the team over there. And I hope that they can continue that mission as effectively as Charlie did. Charlie, in one of his last interviews, actually, he was in Myrtle Beach, was asked the question, what is an American? And on Mamdani, he said, I don't care if you have a United States passport. That doesn't mean you're an American. You have to be America first, period. And you have to be loyal to America. And, there's a lot of theories about, what happened to Charlie or whatever. I can tell you, man, there are very powerful forces who do not want to hear language like that. because there is a very concerted effort to, look, this is a really attractive market for every industry on the globe. They want to be in America, doing business in America. Why? Because the value of doing business there is the highest, because the standard of living is the highest, and it's the most money. I mean, everybody just wants to do business in America. Still, that's a fact. And so they want to go from 350 million to a billion. That's what the industry wants to do. And most of the Americans are sitting around saying, I don't think so. Hey, not so fast, bucko. We're happy if we have a population growing naturally with, Americans having prosperity. But if you want to go from 350 to a billion, what you can't, you're not just going to sit around and wait for the people who are extant to sort of, procreate and prosper, and you're going to be waiting 100 years or more, right? They want to do it fast. They want to do it now. So what do? You pinch the people who are there, and you move them out of the cities, and you move in a bunch of like third worlders, the global south, people from like these S-stained countries. And I'll say these, we don't need these people here. Their lifestyles are not consistent with our way of life here, and we don't need them. We don't need to have an extra 500 or 600 million workers come from the global south to populate America. We don't need that. And so that's what's going on here. And Charlie was hip to it. And they knew that he was hip to it. And they were like, wow, that's our youngest guy. He's pretty powerful. And so now he's not with us anymore. But those ideas don't die. And so I think it's very obvious that what I'm saying is true. That's how you get Mamdani in the White House. By the way, everybody's moving out of New York City right now. That's convenient. That's convenient. They're all moving down to the South. 500,000 of them are going to move to North Carolina. 300,000 or 400,000 of them are going to move to South Carolina. A bunch of them are going to move to Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi and Florida and Tennessee. And there's going to be all kinds of space in New York City to move in a bunch of folks who are kind of used to living like that anyway. And so that's what's going on. So how do we fix it? Well, Congress has totally abrogated their role here. They're exercising no oversight. And so Congress has to be forced to stand up to this freight train, okay, and say no. And sadly, we're not seeing a push for the right people in Congress to do the right things from the top. In fact, we're seeing the opposite. And so, it's not going to go well in 2026 if we don't see overt America First action from the administration like yesterday.
Can you share with us a little bit of your resume? What kind of things have you done? Because you're connected in DC, and also tell us why you do what you do every day.
Sure. I used to be a school teacher, actually. So I'm a recovering school teacher, and I did that for about a decade. I narrowly dodged law school, thank goodness. And then after I quit teaching, I decided to kind of get into this public policy space and politics and campaigns. Worked on the Hill for a while, and I saw how slow and broken it was. And ever since then, I've been working on the outside, on the campaign side and in the media side, because we actually get more done creating pressure from the outside than we do on the inside, believe it or not. And so anytime there's a speaker fight, I'm right in the middle of that. That's been my major objective over the last decade and a half or so, is really, look, I have hope. The reason I do this is because we can fix it, but we have to exercise the power that we have. And there has to be will to power by good men and women who are in power. You have to grab a hold of the lever, and you have to steer it in the right direction. And so we've been really close with that, with the gavel a few times, but we've had some bad actors kind of come in and control the opposition, and we're still dealing with that right now with Mike Johnson. Thank God. I can't even believe I'm going to say something nice about Elise Stefanik on air, but Elise Stefanik is now calling out Mike Johnson for his being basically a bad actor on a lot of issues. And so that's true. If you got Elise Stefanik bad mouthing you, you got problems, okay? And you got me agreeing with her, you got problems, Mike Johnson. And so we need a new speaker, bottom line. And I'll say this, Jim Jordan he kind of gave up the ghost. A bunch of big tech guys bought off Jim Jordan, and their excuse is, well, we're playing the inside games with the rules committee. Look, what did you get? Nothing. The Freedom Caucus hasn't done anything of use since they handed John Boehner his walking papers in 2015. That was an operation I was very intimately involved in from the outside, causing pain for these adults, and who are mules. So they're stiff-headed mules who just refuse to do what they're supposed to do, and they know what they're supposed to do, and they just refuse to do it. I'm speaking of the members of the House of Representatives, and so I've been in this game from the outside, trying to be as efficient as possible, trying to pick up the biggest, if there's a sledgehammer laying on the ground, metaphorically, I like to pick it up and go swing it right at, Mitch McConnell's head or Paul Ryan's head, metaphorically, of course, for the NSA and everybody watching. There's no shovels swinging around here. Okay, people. That's what gets stuff done. I'll give you an example. We had a challenge to Paul Ryan in 2016. And I'm telling you right now, what was getting ready to happen, we had the House, Paul Ryan and Barack Obama, during the lame duck, when Obama's on his way out, were getting ready to pass the Trans-Pacific Partnership. They were 100% going to go past the TPP, which was like NAFTA on steroids, and it would have further eroded the national sovereignty of the United States of America, right? And it handed more power over to Asia. And the outside challenge, just a business guy in southern Wisconsin, in Delavan, decides to run against Paul Ryan, and we scraped together a couple of bucks. I think we got it up toward the 7-fig range, and worked hard at that. And Paul Ryan, lo and behold, 5 days before the primary, says he goes to. They always do this, by the way. They go to Manu Raju. Lindsey Graham does this. They all do it. I got to go find Tom Tillis did it with Manu Raju right before he sold Ed Martin down the river in May of this year. Because remember, President Trump wanted Ed Martin to be a senior guy at DOJ, and Tom Tillis killed that whole effort. Well, they go to Manu Raju, and Paul Ryan says, I think maybe we're not going to do that TPP this year. And it's because he had to deal with the pain from the outside. That's the process, like it or not. It's not as fast as you want it to be, but that's what we got. The next phase of this operation is getting our guys in power to actually go do what they're supposed to do. That's the next phase of the operation. That was a defensive battle, basically.
So obviously we're doing a lot of inside baseball from your perspective right now in D.C., and we're going through the weeds, and we're walking around and looking through. There's going to be a time that I would like to do more investigations and really get into the weeds more. But right now, it's that 30,000-foot view. It's that flying on the airplane, looking down and saying, hey, I see Ireland over there, and I see the UK, and they're cutting down on freedom of speech over there. And I'm looking at our country, and I'm like, I just want to make sure that our country doesn't ever look like that. I want our country to have the Constitution of the United States of America. So my question to you is, from that perspective, what should we do from your perspective to keep that moving forward through the 3.5 years and until Jesus returns?
We're moving rapidly in the wrong direction. Unfortunately, we've got southern states like Florida, like South Carolina, passing hate speech codes. Well, the hate speech codes, they kind of come in under the guise of stopping anti-Semitism in generally. Is that's the way they come in. But what they're going to ultimately do is then be levered into basically prohibiting speech against Islam. That is what they're ultimately going to be used for. And if you go look at CAIR, C-A-I-R, the Council on American Islamic Relations, why is the Council on American Islamic Relations supporting hate speech codes in a place like South Carolina? Well, because they want to weaponize our government against us, and they're doing a great job. And the state legislatures in southern states are even paying for, or letting Islam pay for the representatives to fly to Turkey. And so Turkey and Erdogan these guys are 100% aiming for a caliphate. Anytime you hear that there's differences in the different countries of Islam, there are slight differences, but they have the same overall goal. Again, peace in Islam is defined as no one outside of Islam. That's what peace is defined as in Islam. And that's where we're going. And they're going to continue to wage that jihad here on U.S. soil. And so you've got a cadre of folks in Texas now starting to wake up to this invasion. And I do believe ultimately We're going to have the conversation about whether Islam is even considered as a religion, or whether it enjoys First Amendment protections in the United States of America. I do not believe that it is a religion, and I do not believe that it does or should enjoy any First Amendment protections in the United States of America. Many more people are going to start to voice those opinions because actually they're not opinions, they're facts. They if you go read the texts in Islam, they actually openly say, this is not a religion. It is a theocratic governmental construct. Well, in the 50s, we banned communism for that same reason. Communism is like a governmental construct antithetical to the Constitution of our United States, and we banned it. And you're not allowed. Somehow we've let it back in. That law is still on the books. You're not allowed to be a commie, but somehow we're still allowing people to be commies. We've got to enforce these laws. Number one, you've got to have some sheriffs and some attorneys general begin to prosecute for the violation of these. These are federal codes. You can't be a commie in the United States of America.
Outside of the points that you're making right now, when I look at it from a 30,000-foot view, I want to see secure elections, same-day voting, paper ballots. I want to see when there's evidence and receipts to any bad actors out there, weaponization against President Trump and we the people, for people to be held accountable, right? There's a number of things that I think would really help to keep that freedom going on in our country. And then to your point, yeah, there's a lot of things to discuss there. Noel Frisch, thank you so much for joining us from the National File. Where can people follow you online?
At National File on all the socials, nationalfile.com to read any of our investigative journalism. And we'll always be out there. I would just say, I hope the DOJ gets busy helping to enforce some of those laws, and soon.
Well, unfortunately, in parts of the alphabet agencies, we have a little bit of the deep state still going on, maybe a lot of the deep state, right? Right?
That's right. Yes, sir.
So, and just for transparency and inside baseball purposes for those that are watching right now, again, I can put on the news anchor hat and ask a bunch of questions, or I could go into the opinion editorial aspect. I'm sticking to the news guy right now, but I do know that it's great to have people on the airwaves that want to speak their perspectives, and that's what we like to have here in conservative media. Again, it's truth versus lies, it's freedom versus tyranny, and we know what side we're on, and I know what side you're on too, Noel. So thanks so much for joining us, sir. Have a great day. We'll talk later.
Thanks, sir.
All right, Noel Frisch at the National File. Earlier, we had Caitlin Bennett as well with on X, a content creator, a journalist, a conservative on the right side of history. And again, a shout out to every person in this country that stands on the right side of history, that speaks out what they believe is to be true and things that have to do with freedom, right? And winning that info war. There's a lot in conservative media, a lot of great podcasters, a lot of great citizen journalists out there. And a lot of times the difference is in the fake news, where I used to work, right, in some of the local stations around the country, it's, we tell you the news, this is what's happening today. But on the conservative media side, do you see what's happening now? We're like, hey, everybody, let's go. I'm not just saying just Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is a network. You guys are loyal to this brand. I love this brand. I love what it stands for. It stands for freedom of speech. It stands for live coverage of what's going on. I mean, back in 2015, you couldn't even see the full speech of President Trump because the networks would cut the speech, cut away from the speech. You wouldn't hear from We the People like we have interviewed We the People over the years before every event and every venue. So we stand with the right side of history. And we're not just saying, it's only us that tells you what's going on. We're just kind of mixing in with you guys saying, hey, we the people, we're on your side. Hey, conservative journalists that's kicking some serious you-know-what out there, covering truth, we're on your side. Let's bring it together. Yes, there's competition. I get there's competition, and that's fine, whatever. Great. But you got to remember, at least from my perspective, this thing is worth it to save the United States of America. All right. And some people might be like, oh, too dramatic. Everything's going great. No, it's not. It's not. Not everything's going great. We have to see the core promises to the American people, all 20 of them, fulfilled. We see a lot of them, a lot of great things. Trust me, I have been one of the top so-called cheerleaders when it's at various rallies that I've covered. I'm the one that was here on J13 when we had to go through what we saw in Butler, Pennsylvania with President Trump. I've been able to speak to President Trump quickly back on the campaign trail before. I understand he stands for we the people. He stands for all the right things. All we're asking is that we continue to win. We continue to do what the people want and what we want and what I want and I believe that you want. And this is based off of a few posts on Truth and X and that kind of thing. Mainly Truth because I've been on there for 3 straight years, just got back on X. And people are saying, yes, amen, that's what we want too. And it's simple. We want secure elections. We want our freedoms in this country. We want no more weaponization in government. We want the swamp to be cleaned out. We want law and order. We want all the things. And those that have broken the law in the past, and remember, Tulsi Gabbard said within the past couple months at that press conference with Carolyn Levitt that there were people that subverted the will of the American people in 2020 and naming people like James Comey and others. And then these guys go to some judge, and then the judge just lets them off for some technicality or whatever. And then we're sitting here talking the same stuff. And it gets old. The noise gets old. All the talking gets old, and no actions are being taken. And that's all we're saying. Actions speak louder than words. Nobody's perfect. We get that. But we know this. We are common sense Americans. We love this land. We love this country. We love the Constitution. We love God. We love family. We love country. We love freedom. We love truth. We love common sense. We love justice. And we love the American way. Again, this ain't mainstream media crap. This is on the right side of history, and we're going to keep on keeping on. And again, shout out to everybody that is doing that in conservative media and online, because we're not just doing this for our health only. We're doing this for literally the freedoms of our country. When you're on this phone and you see what's going on in some of the other countries and how Enoch Burke, a teacher in Ireland, because he didn't say the they pronoun, a teacher is in jail now because he didn't go along with that, because the government there says you're supposed to say this, you're not supposed to say that. We got to wake up more, I think. I'll be straight up about it. I don't care what all the other noise is saying. And again, this isn't just me and at Right Side. This is me and a number of other great conservative outlets out there and a number of great podcasters and citizen journalists out there. All right. Enough of that. Let's get back into the news flow. How shall we? 12:36, Thursday, December 4th. Let's go to kalshi.com/RSBN. Great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. A lot of different topics to bet or trade or just check out polls. You can do that right there with kalshi.com. More than 1 million users on it. Use the QR code or just go with kalshi.com/RSBN. Of course, you can also download the app. It's really fun to check out various topics. I mean, whether it's music or movies or weather or faith or politics, it's all on there. Give it a shot. kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy as well. You know, here at RSBN, we always try to point you toward companies that actually support your freedom and give you real choices, and that's exactly why we trust All Family Pharmacy. They're not your traditional pharmacy pushing flu shots. All Family Pharmacy is different. They give you options. They encourage you to take charge of your health, stay prepared, and have the right medications on hand before sickness hits. And of course, during the holidays, that's important. The travel, the cold weather, the family gatherings. This is when everyone, unfortunately, can get sick. So why wait until someone is miserable and you're scrambling for appointments or pharmacy lines? All Family Pharmacy has everything your family might need: antivirals, antibiotics, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, mebendazole, even emergency kits and supplements. All doctor-reviewed and delivered fast to your door. So while you're out doing holiday shopping, there's nothing wrong with adding a few essential medications your family might need. So stock up, stay prepared, and keep your family healthy this season. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use code RSBN10 for 10% off your order. All right, we're looking live there at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. That's the first time we are covering an event at that building today. We know that the president will be participating in a signing ceremony with the president of the Republic of Rwanda and the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo. So that's all happening. A bit later, I believe on a separate broadcast, there will be a live press conference with the DOJ. Didn't see specifically yet what that's for, but I believe it would be for that breaking news that happened earlier in the day with the Jan 6 DC pipe bomber suspect that was arrested. So that press conference will be a bit later. And then tonight, to tone it down, the President and the First Lady participate in the National Christmas Tree Lighting on the Ellipse. So our coverage starts at 4 o'clock Eastern for that. So hope you join us for all of the coverage today. And also, let's see what else. You know what? Why don't we do this? Director, are we hearing any word yet for the President or anybody arriving there at that event? All right, let's do this. We'll go to a video that the director just told me about, that the president of Rwanda leaving from the White House on his way over to that event there, and then we'll be right back after that. Okay, so this time around, it's been closed press for the greeting between the President of the United States and the various leaders that you see, but we did see, obviously, the video of them departing. They're departing to that event space there. That is, again, the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. So the three world leaders will be headed there, and then as soon as it starts, we'll take you there live. We'll also show you the video of the other African leader leaving the White House in just a second. In the meantime, let's go to a video that I played earlier. There was one that was with Mike Lindell, of course. It was great to see him, a Throwback Thursday video that we played. We also played a video with the great Kari Lake. Remember when she was running for governor of Arizona? We wish she would have won that. Who knows how that election situation happened there, but there's a number of letters that were written to Kari Lake 2 years ago. Again, this is just the Throwback Thursday video, but it's powerful because it's about we the people saying, Kari, help us. You know, it's the same thing. It's the same kind of sentiment we have now for the future of our country to secure our elections. So let's take a look at that video from Kari Lake.
For example, dear Kari and team, thank you for taking up the fight. You represent all of us who are working to get our country back. God bless you. Kari, never give up the fight for America, Arizona, and our freedom. Kari, you give us all hope. Please keep fighting. Here's one. Dear Kari, my humble $20 donation for your continued fights against the evils at the Arizona and DC cartels. This is a $20 check. This came from Sun City West. I mean, guys, I could go through this whole thing. These letters move me to tears. They move me to tears. What's going on in our elections? And the people are the ones who are helping us. They want our case to go forward. They want us to fight this because they know if we don't fight this now, we're losing our country. It's not fun. I have been offered bribes to get out of politics. We have such a huge movement. They're afraid of this movement being back on the ballot.
And that movement is us, all of us, on the right side of history. That movement, as you guys know, we the people, the liberty movement, the freedom movement, the MAGA movement, the Tea Party movement, all of that, which basically is the common sense, good-hearted Americans that are out there. And there's many of us. And we know that the massive majority of our country are people on the right side of history. You're not woke, right? You don't have a woke ideology. You're free of thought. You're not a sheeple following, yes, the news told us this. Okay, we believe in that. Screw that. We are free thinkers, and we know what we want. And we want the best thing that you can have in America is God, family, country, freedom through truth, justice, and the American way. That's what the other countries want in the sense of the people. I believe the people, like of China, right? They don't want to be lorded over like that. They'd love to have freedom. They probably don't have no idea of what it's like. Maybe they do. But at the end of the day, we're just fighting for it. And part of the fight, see, I'm in a suit. I'm not in military fatigues. Nothing against the military. We are so happy to have the United States military. But we also have to win the information war, because if we lose that, that's when, just like in New York right now, hey, here, have free stuff. And your mind and your emotion, okay, I'll take that. Thank you, government. I rely on you. Don't take over my mind now. Don't control my thinking. Don't control it all, because at the end goal of socialism and communism is death and destruction. It really is. I don't care what the news is saying out there. I don't care how much talk, how much blah, 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 blah. I don't care, and I know you don't either. What you care about, I believe, is just freedom and common sense policies and winning. You got to remember, I kept it in my heart, guys. Every time we're at those events in those arenas over the past few years, I've worked at Right Side since September 3rd of 2022. My first rally was in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. And when I went there and I saw a packed arena and I heard the USA chants echo across the arena, it's not just an emotion, it's a thought of, why are these people here? Why are we here doing this? Because we love President Trump. Because President Trump stands for X, Y, and Z, right? All the good things that we want in our country. I'm not letting go of it. And that's why people like Caitlin Bennett, who I interviewed earlier, has more than 500,000 followers on X. One person, 500,000. She doesn't work at a network. She said, you know what? I've got a skill. I'm going to go out there and use it. And she's using it for the country. And that's why I want to interview people like that too. Doesn't have to be just, here I am, watch me, you know what I mean? Great, I'm a part of the right side of history. Great, awesome, thank God. Grateful, trust me. All right, let's go to some video of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the leader leaving the West Wing of the White House on the way to that event there. And we'll be back in a second.
Monsieur le Président, est-ce que vous êtes prêt pour le round-up de sortie de votre veille?
All right, so everybody headed to the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. I believe the president either on his way or already there. And then as soon as we see the three leaders, we will take you there live. And that's something that RSBN, you've counted on us for 10 years plus now to bring you live coverage in the moment. Pretty cool stuff, right? Speaking of that, a couple years ago, back to Throwback Thursday for a second, for those of you that have joined us post airing this video that I did earlier, this was a video that I shot with my iPhone back in the day, 2022 in Robstown, Texas. Mike Lindell there as well. And I saw him greeting a number of people. And the reason why I like to air this video is because in one video, I didn't add any music underneath the video. It was just one whole 3-minute vantage point. And it just came together. And again, this is the love for the American people. This is what it's about, right? God, family, country, freedom, family. Let's focus on the family part here as we look at this video as we await the President of the United States.
I got your umbrellas and your shoes. I should have brought my book.
Thank you for what you do for our country.
Thank you very much.
Get us back right.
I just want you guys. For Christmas.
Mike, what's it like to see this amount of love out here?
Well, they're looking for hope, you know. I give the glory to the Lord. God bless me with a big platform, but it's everybody's platform. And it's just, I have a bigger voice right now than everybody else. And it feels good to know that there's people this inspires me to keep going. And everybody, more and more courage is contagious. And that's where we're at. Everybody, this isn't a time to save your courage for a rainy day because it's pouring outside.
But honestly, what is it like to see all these people shaking your hands, loving you for being an American patriot?
Yeah, it is pretty amazing. I just feel very blessed, you know. People are looking for hope, and we are going to get our elections back instead of selection. We're going to get rid of these voting machines. Everybody knows what I'm standing for. We have to get rid of the electronic voting machine, or we're going to lose it. How are you going to see the stage back here? God bless you. Thank you. God bless you.
Last chance to say hello to the
And we sleep on your sheets.
All right. Yes, we do.
A shout out to Robstown, Texas, back a couple years at that Trump rally, and just great to, look back at some of the different moments that we experienced here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And again, I just want to show that kind of video. I mean, this is what it's all about, right? It's we the people. And you look back at the great Abraham Lincoln when he spoke in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I was born maybe 45 minutes from Gettysburg. And last time I was in Gettysburg, I went and visited where he delivered his Gettysburg address. And there's a little plaque that says on the other side of this fence, about 20 yards away is where he stood. I'm the kind of person that doesn't want to stand right here at the plaque. I want to stand where Abraham Lincoln stood and spoke and said things like, it's a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And, I don't know, maybe it's the way I'm wired. It's really heartfelt when it comes to all this stuff because that's just the way I am. But the point is, I don't know, I just love freedom. And I love that you guys are with us here watching live as it's 12:51 Thursday, December 4th. Well, the 12:10 was the scheduled time for the signing ceremony. So obviously it's a little bit later than that. That's all right. We can talk on the fly here. We've learned to do that here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, especially at all those rallies that you guys have watched us over the years. Yes, there are a lot of stories going on out there too, and we've been looking at those. And we know that the Jan 6 pipe bomber, a suspected pipe bomber back in the day, has been arrested. I believe that there's a press conference coming up shortly about that. So any different live streams that you can check out are right here on Right Side. Go ahead and go to Rumble and anywhere else that you're watching. Thanks so much for live streaming in. And speaking of, since I'm reminiscing a little bit when it comes to the, not Jan 6, but 2022, when we just showed that rally to you, I was thinking just in September of this year, September 21st, something that I haven't spoken about in about a month maybe, but the late, great Charlie Kirk Memorial that was in Glendale, Arizona. Speaking of things that we will bottle up and keep with us, that is it. That memorial, when the power of God moved, the Holy Spirit moved, for those of you that are Christian out there that believe, and if you're not Christian, this is not a thing that says, oh, only Christians should watch. I'm not talking about that. This is a political show all about freedom. So it's just under that umbrella. but specifically when it comes to Christianity, the power of God moved in Arizona, and it was awesome. It was really awesome to see that. The praise, the worship, the words spoken. But at the end of the day, we're always looking for just truth to set us free. So that's what we're about. And yeah, this is what you call not having a teleprompter and rocking and rolling with you. It reminds me of when President Trump would be at various rallies, right? He'd say, "Oh, these teleprompters, I don't need them," and all that. And good times, good times. All right, so they're getting ready. It looks like they're at this Delivering Peace event. Again, this is going to be between President Donald Trump and the president of the Republic of Rwanda and the president of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now, the DRC is interesting because I remember maybe a year ago, I was traveling from the south up to Iowa and made a stop in Chicago on the way. In Iowa, it was one of the rallies we were covering during the campaign there. And I ran into a number of immigrants that were flown in. Do you remember when during the Biden administration or the regime, a number of people were flown in? Well, in Chicago, at one of the terminals, they were housing some of the illegal immigrants. So I walked by, and I have the video for it. We don't have to go to that. It's on my Truth Social. But I ran into people, and one was from the DRC, the Congo, and someone else, I believe, was from Venezuela. And they were just saying, "Hey, we like Biden because he lets us in." They were broken English, of course. And you think about all these different things that have happened over the past few years, and your mind can spin. There's a lot going on. But that's why I was saying before, where's our anchor, right? Where's our anchor when there's so much noise and so much talk? And I love X. I just got back on X. I'm on Truth Social. I love Truth Social as well. Been on since October of 2022. And now that I'm watching all of the words that are spoken on X, right? And a lot that I follow, a lot of truth, and I love truth. So I'm looking like, what did this person find out? What did they find out? And I'll dive into some of that investigative stuff sometime here. But the point is, still though, actions speak louder than words when it comes to what's needed to be done in our country for our country to be fully saved, right? Sometimes I think you just got to put the phone down for just a second, because sometimes people say that, I think, put the phone down, just detach. Yeah, so they can lull you to sleep, so you don't know what the heck's going on out there. So I'm not saying from that perspective. I'm just saying there's just a lot going on, as you guys know. And for those of you that are watching Right Side, you're involved, right? Don't think, please, that even if you're not out there on TV or posting a lot online, or you are involved because you're watching Right Side Broadcasting Network. You're watching conservative media. You care about our country. You want to see our country succeed. You're a part of this whole thing. You're a voter, hopefully, right? If you're 18 and up, so you have a role to play. Talk to your friends, talk to your family. Let's get out the vote for the midterms. And I'm speaking like the midterms are in 2 months. The midterms are next November, but we really have to win those things. Because I don't want to replay tapes for me talking here. We don't want our country to look like Ireland, and then we don't want our country to look like England right now with the way the government's acting when it comes to freedom of speech and that kind of thing. I don't want to ever have to look back at any of the video and say, this is what we were talking about then, and look what we have now in our country. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying, who knows? So we have to do what we have to do to keep the wins going. It's okay to be undefeated, right? We don't want to lose it all. So anyway, 12:57, we're approaching the top of the hour. A lot more activity there at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. We'll be going there live in just a second. Let's go to a few sponsors in the meantime, as we have a great sponsor coming up right now. Monetary Gold is that one. Every major financial disaster begins with a few simple facts that most people ignore. In 2007, it was that overextended credit, reckless lending, and misplaced faith that, quote unquote, everything will hold. Then obviously it didn't. The banks failed, savings vanished, retirements were cut in half. The lesson was painful and unforgettable. And today, some of those same indicators are happening. Auto loan defaults, they're rising. Commercial real estate is strained. Private credit has grown far beyond its limits. But for more than 25 years, Monetary Gold has guided Americans through every economic storm with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and one constant truth: real value endures when paper confidence fades. So you can study the evidence, act on reason, give them a call there. You see that number on your screen, 888-617-7994, or go to rsbnforthegold.com. You can get more information there with that free info kit, Monetary Gold, here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's also go to Spring, Texas, the home of angelpaste.com. So they hire military veterans. They also have been a long-time sponsor here with some great products. The flagship product right there, the Miracle Cream. Also, the other products on there, just use that RSBN promo code on checkout. You'll get the nice discount as well. So if you're looking for a Christmas gift, there's one right there, angelpaste.com. We're approaching 1 o'clock on the East Coast, good old 10 a.m. out there on the West Coast. And thank you to those that are watching in the Central Time Zone and the Mountain Time Zone. Every state in the Union, I believe, is watching, to be honest, because I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Go ahead on Rumble right now, or on YouTube, or on X, wherever you're watching, and just type in the state that you're watching from, if you'd like to. So go ahead and share that. Maybe we'll read some of those states, as we know that there are people that watch coast to coast, because you guys are involved with the outcome of our nation, and you're interested in what's going on out there. And what a better place to find it right here on Right Side when we have live coverage wall to wall, and we're having it again today there in Washington, D.C. All right, so we're hearing from the director here at the network that President Trump is on site. So we know that the presidential seal is at the podium. So we'll be seeing the three world leaders here in just a minute. If you're just joining us, the president is participating in a signing ceremony with the president of the Republic of Rwanda and the president of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now, this event is not out at the White House. It is at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. If you saw on X yesterday, or maybe on Truth Social, the exterior of the building looks great, looks real nice. So great to see that there, and we'll be going there live here in just a minute. A few housekeeping items a little bit later at 4 o'clock. We'll be live here on Right Side. Robert McNeely will be in studio as we cover the Christmas tree lighting in Washington, D.C. on the Ellipse. The president and the first lady will be involved with that, so we'll have that live coverage as well. We'll see if the president will take any questions after this event here. Usually, as you guys know, he takes questions after events. So we'll have that if that's the case in this situation. Also, as it's 1 o'clock Eastern time, 10 o'clock out there on the West Coast, if you'd like to follow Right Side Broadcasting Network just on X, just go to @RSB Network. On Truth Social, it's @RSBN. If you'd like to follow me on X, it's @MatthewUS Media. And then on Truth Social, it's @Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for following, but also just, interacting. I see a lot of that on Truth Social, and it's become kind of a family. I actually said, I love you guys the other day on over the Thanksgiving break to the people that I interact with on Truth Social, because it's true, right? It's our fellow countrymen and women that are on the right side of history that want freedom to reign in this nation. So we're a big family on the right side of history. So it's good to interact. So again, if you'd like to follow, go ahead and do that. And one thing I'm curious about, and this is, I don't know, just an off-the-cuff thought, I guess, but on X, there's 1.1 million people following Right Side Broadcasting Network on X, and there's, I think it's 2 or 3 million on Truth Social at this point. But the 1.1 million puzzles me, because it's been at 1.1 million for quite some time. And I don't know what's going on there. I think there's more than 1.1 million people that I've tried to follow. I'm just guessing. I don't know. But it just stayed at that number for several months. I don't know why. The other day, it was great to see Elon Musk reposting something of our coverage as well on there, and a number of other people. It's great because more notoriety means more conservative media, means more cutting through the mainstream media crap that's out there. So anyway, all right. So other than the J6 suspected bomber arrest that happened earlier today, tracking various stories that are out there. We do know that this week, tomorrow actually, the president will be attending an event at the Kennedy Center for the FIFA World Cup draw. I'm not sure specifically what that is. I'm a sports fan, but I'm not too up to date with FIFA. But We know that the president will be at the Kennedy Center tomorrow. And then, of course, anything that happens next week, we'll be here for you. Robert McNeely will be on the early morning shift next week. I'll be on the afternoons, and looking forward to seeing you join us. So let's take a commercial break. We'll be right back here on RSBN Live.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Every once in a while, something big happens, something that changes everything. And now, in a defining moment for crypto, Trump Media Group and Crypto.com are joining forces to acquire up to $6.4 billion of CRO, launching America's first ever CRO treasury, empowering the Kronos blockchain. This is more than a partnership. It's the future of finance built in America. For more, visit Crypto.com, where millions trade CRO every day.
Tired of being told no by your doctor, your pharmacy, or worse, your insurance company? You're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to a broken healthcare system. That's why more and more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy. We believe in medical freedom. We deliver the prescription and the medication, all from licensed U.S. doctors and pharmacists, from ivermectin and trusted antibiotics to maintenance medications, even NAD+, the revolutionary anti-aging supplement. Use code RSBN10 at checkout for 10% off your first order.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. It is 1:05 Thursday, December 4th, awaiting the president, along with the two African leaders, one from Rwanda, one from the Democratic Republic of Congo. I've traveled to the continent of Africa. I was there on a mission trip in Chad, Africa, right next to Sudan back in 2004. It was a 2.5-week mission trip there, and wow. What I can say about it is you would think that, other countries, or especially Chad, I mean, that's a very poor country, is really starving, and it's just so terrible. There were more smiles in Chad waving to us than I've seen smiles at the grocery store sometimes. You know what I mean? I guess it's because the tight-knit community and family there. But anyway, it was quite the experience. It was a Christian mission trip. It was just great to do. But also dangerous in some ways. I mean, being right next to Sudan, the Darfur region and all that. But when you're in college, you think you can do anything. But thank God everything worked out. But it was a great trip there. But in the meantime, let's shift down to Nigeria. We know in Nigeria there's a lot going wrong there when it comes to the government allowing different factions of radicalized Islamists like Boko Haram and others that have persecuted and killed Christians in huge numbers there. We had Representative Riley Moore on the broadcast 2 times so far, talking about shedding a light on that situation in Nigeria. So, hopefully that will subside and stop. As it's been terrible to see the things going on there. And there's a number of places that we can highlight around the world that aren't doing so great. But the thing is, we live here. And we want to talk about keeping us safe. And we want to talk about keeping our prices down. And we want to talk about keeping the law and order, at the forefront, especially in all the cities out there. And how about when it comes to the deep state, anybody that has broken the law, when there's receipts and evidence to subverting the will of the American people in 2020, holding people accountable. And of course, another thing that we want is the secure elections, coming up for the 2026 midterms. So there's just a lot of things just to take care of in this country alone. that we, the people, want to see done. So we know actions speak louder than words. There's a lot of words out there, but we are saying, hey, well, great, but let's act on some of these things that are all good things for the nation, good things for the country. And it's great to have a voice, right? But you have a voice as well on social media or wherever you are in your workplace or in your friends, with your family, that kind of thing. And then also when it's time to vote. We have to make it so, quote unquote, too big to rig once again in the 26 election. But hopefully the secure elections will already be there. That voter reform will already be in place. The voter ID, the proof of U.S. citizenship, the paper ballots, the same-day voting, and on and on and on. Just like other nations across the planet have, we want that here as well. We want free and fair elections, simple as that. So again, the majority of the nation voting for President Trump for the past 3 straight elections. In 2020, President Trump won the election. We know that. Did he really technically after things happened? No. Biden was in there, but we know what happened. So we know he won in a landslide in 2016. He won in a landslide in 2020. He won in a landslide in 2024. And look, I mean, look at the amount of things that have come against President Trump and we the people. And why would they always, why are they going after him? Why'd they do all that? They simply were wanting our freedoms to be taken. They want to take control of us. This is true, right? Or am I just being a conspiracy type guy? Which, by the way, a lot of conspiracies are right. Interesting. Because that's what the left calls people that are truthfully speaking, oh, that guy's a conspiracy theorist. No, he's not, or she. Sometimes they may get it right. Sometimes they may get it wrong. Most of the time, it's probably right. You got to look at the evidence and the receipts. Now we're getting into the investigative weeds. Anyway, enough of the fireside chat. All right, so about an hour ago was when this event was scheduled to start. But as you know, it's 3 world leaders, a lot of security, Secret Service, all of the things there at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. So as soon as we see it, we'll take you there live. And then we'll see if there will be a Q&A with the president afterwards. Always fun to see that happen and to hear different things that are spoken about. In the meantime, as we await the 3 world leaders, including our Commander-in-Chief, President Donald J. Trump, let's go to covepier.com/RSBN. This is a great water filtration system. Something to get for a gift for the holidays, definitely. $250 off right now is the holiday sale. But let's go to President Trump. We'll talk about that in a second.
Well, thank you very much. Wow. This is a nice building, I have to tell you. So this is a special occasion for a lot of reasons, but number one is it's our first occasion in this building using it for peace. And it's all about peace, and it's a great honor. And Marco, you've done a fantastic job in getting it ready, but it's a spectacular building, and we all appreciate it. And very importantly, we're settling a war that's been going on for decades with millions and millions of people killed. And these 2 gentlemen spent a lot of time backstage talking to each other, and over at the Oval Office. We were at the Oval Office together. It was beautiful. And I think it's just a very important day. And we have other leaders from other countries, and you said such beautiful things. I'd love to have you come up. We'll finish up, and then I'd love to have you come up, and if you can issue the words that you just issued backstage. It usually doesn't work, you know. It usually never happens. They said it much better before, but you will probably do better up here. But I'd love to have you say how you felt, because it is an amazing day. Great day for Africa, great day for the world, and for these 2 countries, and they have so much to be proud of. And I want to thank the leaders. I want to thank you very much. It means maybe more because we are here together for the first time ever in this building. Brand new, beautiful building. I don't want to tell you how much it costs, because I hear it's a lot. Okay? They don't build inexpensively here. But I just want to thank you very much. So please sit down, everybody. I I want to thank everybody for being here. It's a momentous occasion. It's truly incredible setting. It's very few places I've seen like this. In this holy season, we prepare to celebrate the birth of the Prince of Peace. We have come to the U.S. Institute of Peace to sign a historic agreement that will end one of the longest-running conflicts anywhere in the world, with far more than 10 million people killed. Today we commit to stopping decades of violence and bloodshed and to begin a new era of harmony and cooperation between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. I want to thank the two courageous leaders. They are courageous leaders. They really are courageous leaders, great people. President Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and President Kagame of Rwanda. They are amazing people, and they had stories to tell me that were incredible. Really fascinating in so many different ways. Sad and beautiful, both sad and beautiful, and today makes them beautiful. I've just held really fantastic meetings with both men and representatives of other countries where we discussed the importance of upholding this new agreement. Very detailed, powerful agreement. I also want to thank several foreign guests and dignitaries in attendance to celebrate this magnificent event, including the President of Angola. Please, would you stand? And so great to see you. Thank you. The President of Burundi. Thank you very much. Great to see you again. The President of Kenya. We have the Olympics here. You know, they do very well in the Olympics, those runners. I don't know what the heck you do with those runners, but they are very good. I've been watching them for a long time. So we have the Olympics coming to the United States. You know that. Thank you very much. And you'll come as our guest. Thank you. And the President of the Council of Ministers of Togo. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Vice President of Uganda. Thank you. It's such a beautiful color. Like all these guys are wearing these dark suits. You just stand out for a lot of reasons. You're beautiful. The Foreign Ministers of Qatar. Thank you. Thank you very much. Say hello to my friend, a great man. And the United Arab Emirates. Thank you. Thank you. My regards, right? And the chairman of the African Union Commission, who's done a fantastic job, and thank you for all your help. We appreciate all your help. A special group of people. A very special thanks as well to Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Marco, please stand. Thank you. And thank you for putting a certain name in that building. I said, boy, that is beautiful. That blew up last night. They said, that's a great honor. It really is. On this building, it's a great honor. Thank you very much. I assume you had a lot to do with that. Just a little bit. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. And Senior Advisor for Africa, Masad Boulos, who's been fantastic. Thank you, Masad. All of these people, every one of them were indispensable in forging this agreement. Let me also recognize Senators Mike Rounds and Lindsey Graham. Lindsey, thank you. Mike, wherever you may be. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Representatives Ronnie Jackson. Where's Ronnie? Ronnie is a great guy. He won his race in Texas by 48 points, right, Ronnie? So I don't have to ask if he's in any. I don't even have to endorse him anymore. It doesn't matter. Save the paper, right? Great job. Chris Smith. Chris. Thank you, Chris. Great. Good job. Trent Kelly. Trent. Thank you very much. Thank you. And the acting president of the Institute for Peace, Darren Beatty. Thank you, Darren, very much. Thank you very much, Darren. For more than 30 years, one of the worst conflicts on earth has been raging in eastern Congo. Millions and millions of people have been tragically killed went on forever. And countless more have been displaced from their homes. Families have been destroyed. It's been a disaster. Many administrations have tried, but probably not too hard, knowing who preceded me. But they tried. It says they've tried. But we tried harder to end this conflict. But they've accomplished, obviously, they accomplished very little because the killing went on at levels that just got worse and worse. And today we're succeeding where so many others have failed, and this has become the 8th war that we've ended in less than 1 year. Such an exciting thing to do. This has been a really, because we're talking about 30 years of fighting, 30 years, much more than 10 million lives. Last June, thanks to the efforts of Secretary Rubio and Mr. Boulos, Rwanda and the DRC reached a landmark agreement to move toward peace. They started the process. I met with some of their great representatives who are here also. And we started a great process. The compact we're signing today, which will be known as the Washington Accords, everybody sort of liked that name, formalizes the terms agreed to in June, including a permanent ceasefire, the disarmament of non-state forces, provisions for refugees to return to their homes, and justice and accountability for those who have committed illegal atrocities. Very importantly, this agreement also creates a new framework for economic prosperity. There's tremendous wealth in that beautiful earth. It's beautiful earth, but it was stained badly with blood, tremendous amounts of blood. But in the region that will support a lasting peace, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda have agreed to more closely integrate their economies with each other rather than fighting, and they'll be doing that. And these two gentlemen are very smart, and I think they liked each other a lot. I spent time with them. I think they liked some people may be surprised. I really do. I think they've spent a lot of time killing each other, and now they're going to spend a lot of time hugging, holding hands, and taking advantage of the United States of America economically like every other country does. So they're going to do very well. But they do have some very valuable things. They're going to have a lot of money and a lot of success. And I think they're going to get along really well. So I hope so. Thank you very much. Look at them. Look at the way they love each other. Thank you. So I have a lot of confidence in both leaders. We'll keep these commitments. I know they're going to keep them and follow through on the agreement and create a much brighter future for the people of their countries. And they're heroes within their countries because of today. This is a big story. And so much is being written and said. All of the newscasts have it at the top of the list. And they are heroes, and we want to keep it that way. Today, the United States is also signing our own bilateral agreements with the Congo and Rwanda that will unlock new opportunities for the United States to access critical minerals and provide economic benefits for everybody. And we'll be involved with sending some of our biggest and greatest companies over to the two countries. And we're going to take out some of the rare earth and take out some of the assets and pay, and everybody's going to make a lot of money. These are just two of the many new agreements related to mineral supplies that my administration has achieved this year, including with Australia, Japan, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, South Korea, and many other countries. With all of these agreements, we're forging new economic security partnerships that protect the interests of America and our friends and partners, and a core feature of my administration's national security strategy, a big part of which is the tariffs. We're taking in trillions of dollars in tariffs. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, and it's given us really great national security. We'll be paying down debt. We'll be making distributions to people, and we're really doing a job. It's amazing. I was with a gentleman, the future king of Saudi Arabia, and you've heard me say this a couple of times, but 2 months ago when I was over there, he said, and actually Qatar is represented today, and you UAE is represented, and your leader said the exact same thing, different words, but the exact same thing, that 1 year ago they thought our country was dead, and now our country is the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We have over $18 trillion, that's just in 10 months, pledged or being invested or pledged to be invested in the United States. Think of that, 18 trillion. The highest amount we've ever had is 1.5. Under the Biden administration, they did much less than 1 in 4 years. Think of that. So they did less than 1 trillion in 4 years. We have 18 trillion in 10 months. It's going to be much more than that, too. No other country in history has ever been close, no matter what country you pick. So I want to thank you again, everybody, for your great vision, and I want to thank the people, especially the people that we named. Some of the others that unfortunately we didn't name, we just couldn't do that. But for your vision and for your courage, because it's made it possible to begin healing old wounds and transcending past differences and creating a future where every child of God can live in dignity, prosperity, and peace. And these are two very good men, and they're two potentially very strong countries. I'd like to now invite President Kagame to come up and say a few words. It's Rwanda. And then, if I may, President of DRC, who really is doing a great job. These are two men that are doing a great job. And again, they are so respected because of what they're doing today and the mission that they've really, I think, accomplished. And we'll see how it all works out, but I think it's going to work out really great. They want to get on to other ways of living for their people, and they're great leaders. Thank you very much. Please, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellency Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, Excellencies, heads of state and government and former heads of state, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to begin with some words of thanks. First, to my fellow heads of state and government from Africa, your presence here confirms that these efforts enjoy the broad support necessary to succeed. I also thank Minister of State Kulaifi, representing His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad of Qatar. The role of Qatar has been absolutely central in getting us to this point. But of course, the biggest vote of thanks goes to President Donald Trump. No one was asking President Trump to take up this task. Our region is far from the headlines. But when the President saw the opportunity to contribute to peace, he immediately took it. This conflict has lasted for 30 years. We have seen countless mediations and efforts, but none has succeeded in resolving the underlying issues. President Trump introduced a new and effective dynamism that created the space for breakthroughs. His approach is even-handed, never taking sides. He orients us toward the future, not the past. emphasizing that the dividend of peace is prosperity and investment, including from the United States. More importantly, President Trump's approach is pragmatic. The process has not become an end in itself. All of these elements filter down to his dedicated team, and here I want to single out Secretary Rubio and Masad Boulos for special appreciation. We would not be here today without their efforts. And as a result, we have the clearest and most viable path forward that we have ever had. These accords provide everything needed to end this conflict once and for all. If this agreement falters and things do not work out as they are supposed to, the responsibility will not lie with President Trump, but with ourselves. It's up to us in Africa, working with our partners to consolidate and expand this peace. There will be ups and downs on the road ahead. There is no doubt about it. Rwanda, I know, will not be found wanting. I can assure you of that. Our only objective is and has always been for our country to be safe and secure after having endured so much tragedy. We now only want to look forward in confident expectation of a prosperous and stable future. Mr. President, Excellencies, I thank you for your kind attention.
Mr. the President of the United States, Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen, dear members of the delegations, distinguished guests, as we have just placed our signatures at the bottom of the joint declaration enshrining the Washington agreements for peace and prosperity, I do feel, on behalf of the people of Congo, a deep gratitude and clear hope. First of all, I would like to express quite solemnly our deep thanks to the President of the United States of America, Mr. Donald Trump. I would like to thank his administration and also wish to thank the American people for the critical role that they played for the rapprochement, the closening between the Democratic Republic of Congo and the Republic of Rwanda. To these thanks, I also bring in all of our regional partners and our international partners who, thanks to their commitment and engagement, have consistently made this critical moment possible in the road to peace. First and foremost, we have Sheikh Yanim bin Ahmad Adani. We have President João Manuel Lourenço Gonçalves, who is the President of Angola and the acting President of the African Union. And we also have the former President of the Republic of Kenya, my brother, Uhuru Kenyatta, who I can see here in the room. These two great Africans who are at the beginning, who started the Rwanda and the Nairobi processes. And beyond them, I wish to thank also all of the African leaders who contributed to help us in this struggle. And I do hope that we have, yes, reached the end. The Washington agreements are not yet another document. These represent a turning point. They bring together under a coherent architecture a declaration of principles of a peace agreement and also the regional economic integration framework to provide to the peoples of the region a new perspective, a new outlook, namely to finally overcome the cycle of violence, of forced displacements, of mistrust, defiance, in order to begin a new era of friendship, cooperation, and prosperity all shared together. For those involved, the Democratic Republic of Congo takes this solemn commitment to implement with complete sincerity all of our obligations that stem from this agreement. We will do this with seriousness, with rigorousness, and also the constant care for peace and the security of our populations, for the unity and the integrity of our territory. We do hope that thanks with the same seriousness that the Republic of Rwanda will also respect fully the letter and the spirit of the commitments made here in Washington. We are reaching out for a peaceful cooperation based on mutual respect, non-interference, and the joint struggle against the armed groups, the end of all support to negative forces, and the beginning of fair prosperity on behalf of our two populations. I do believe this day is the beginning of a new path. A demanding path, yes indeed, quite difficult, but this is a path where peace will not just be a wish, an aspiration, but a turning point. The Democratic Republic of Congo will fully play its part with dignity, with consciousness and consistency, and with the support of our partners. We will remain watchful, vigilant, but not pessimistic. We'll be clear-eyed, but resolutely optimistic. These Washington agreements for peace and prosperity must be for our peoples a symbol of an irreversible commitment to turn the page of confrontations and to open a new era of cooperation and sustainable peace throughout the region. Thank you.
So, if I might, my four new friends, a couple of cases not that new. Could you come up, please? Do you mind? Please. They represent so many and so well, so I just want to thank you very much. Good.
Sr. Presidente Donald Trump, Presidente dos Estados Unidos da América, caros convidados, altas entidades aqui presentes, senhores jornalistas, eu gostaria de realçar a importância desta cerimônia aqui em Washington, D.C., que vai finalmente pôr fim a um conflito que, como já foi dito, dura mais de 3 décadas. Não são exatamente 30 anos, mais do que 3 décadas. Um conflito entre irmãos, países vizinhos e irmãos, que deviam se dar bem, mas que, por razões de diversa ordem, têm vindo a se degladiar ao longo dos anos, com pesadas consequências, quer para as populações de ambos os países, como também para as respectivas economias. A região dos Grandes Lagos é uma região das mais ricas do mundo, não apenas da África. É enormemente rica em recursos hídricos, terras aráveis, florestas, recursos minerais que estão no subsolo, mas, sobretudo, rico nas suas pessoas, com um potencial muito grande para desenvolver aquela região de África que pode catapultar o desenvolvimento de outras regiões igualmente do nosso continente. O mundo atravessa hoje uma crise energética e alimentar. Nós fomos a dizer que a África, e em particular essa região dos Grandes Lagos, tem o potencial, não digo de resolver, mas de contribuir consideravelmente para a resolução dessas 2 grandes crises, quer alimentar, quer a energética, não apenas para o nosso continente, mas para o mundo. A grande barragem do Inga, adormecida há bastantes anos, pode contribuir enormemente para a eletrificação do continente e, consequentemente, para a sua industrialização. Em termos de agricultura, o facto de ter terras aráveis, um índice de chuvas bastante regular e abundante, pode-se desenvolver agricultura naquelas regiões para alimentar o continente. E nada disso tem sido possível fazer-se ao longo de décadas, devido a este conflito que não tem sentido e que, finalmente e felizmente, parece que terá o seu fim hoje aqui em Washington, D.C. Nós procuramos fazer a nossa parte, e quando digo nós, estou-me a referir a Angola, ao Quênia e outros países também africanos. Procuramos fazer o melhor para chegarmos a este momento. Infelizmente não foi possível, mas nós só temos que agradecer ao presidente Trump por ter dado continuidade ao trabalho que nós realizamos e ter conseguido alcançar esse desfecho do qual todos nós sairemos a ganhar. Portanto, mais uma vez, o presidente Trump fez a parte que lhe compete e nós esperamos e acreditamos que é o que vai acontecer, que as 2 partes, ou seja, as autoridades da República Democrática do Congo e da República do Rwanda também farão a sua parte para a implementação com êxito deste acordo. Uma coisa é assinar um acordo, outra coisa que é mais difícil, mas é possível, desde que haja vontade política, é implementar em tempo útil tudo aquilo que nós acordamos e assinamos. Parabéns a todos. Muito obrigado.
Your Excellency, the U.S. President, President Trump, dear guests, and dear dignitaries present here and press members. I would like to highlight the importance of this ceremony taking place in Washington, D.C., because this has come to put an end to a war that has been there for more than 3 decades, because it's not just exactly 3 decades, but it's more than 30 years. And this is a conflict that has been there between two neighboring countries, which have been fighting for many years with consequences on the peoples, countries, economies, and so forth. And these consequences also were felt in the Great Lakes region, which is a very rich region in Africa, rich in terms of water resources, arable lands and forests, and as well as mineral resources, which are important for the development of our region. So it's important that we've reached to this point where the agreement is going to be, has been signed, a peace deal, which will benefit immensely the whole region and will unleash the opportunities for the development of our continent, and as well as to helping the whole world in terms of fighting against the food crisis and energy crisis which the whole world is going through now. We believe that the Great Lakes region will have to play a great role in providing resources to the international community. And of course, solving this conflict will also help solve other crises, not only in the continent as we know, but worldwide. For example, the Great Inga Hydro project in Congo is important. It can help to electrify the continent and consequently help in terms of developing agriculture and providing agriculture, arable lands, and abundant resources that we have that can be used. We know that Africa possesses a lot of other resources such as rainfalls, which are important for agriculture. So nothing has nothing would justify this war, but eventually the most important thing that it has come to war. We sought as Africans to do our part. When I say Africans, I mentioned countries such as Angola, Kenya, and other African countries, but unfortunately we couldn't make it. But we now want to thank President Donald Trump for having helped to reach this important milestone. We believe, once again, we have to thank him for what he has done, and what comes next now is to appeal to the two parties, that is the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of Rwanda, to implement successfully this agreement for the benefit of their countries, their people, and including our continent of Africa. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, President Trump, fellow heads of state, today's signing of the Washington Peace Accord for Eastern DRC is not merely a monumental diplomatic milestone. It is a decisive act to end a devastating conflict that has scarred the region for decades. Mr. President, what you have achieved is not only transformative, it is consequential and historic. This conflict has destroyed livelihoods, destabilized our region, and threatened the future of the entire Great Lakes African continent. Today's achievement culminates a relentless regional effort anchored by the foundational work of the East African Community and SADC, and today, this Washington process. The coordinated Nairobi, Luanda, and Washington processes created the essential pathway that brings us to this pivotal moment. We would like to extend our gratitude to President Tshisekedi and President Kagame for their leadership during this process. Reaching this point was made possible by the unparalleled consequential convening power of the United States and President Trump's resolute and focused commitment to global peace. Your clarity, Mr. President, of purpose and ability to rally stakeholders together has brought us to this point. We therefore extend our profound gratitude to President Trump, whose bold leadership has been instrumental in delivering this breakthrough. Our presence here, Mr. President, as regional leaders, is a testament of our collective resolve. We will spare no effort to ensure this agreement is fully realized, mobilizing every resource and partner to secure peace and unlock the region's immense economic promise. The protracted conflict on our continent continues to hold back Africa. Our current 3% share of global trade is stark evidence of how far this war has held us back. A peaceful Eastern DRC can unlock one of Africa's greatest economic opportunities. Our vast resources, the young talent that we have, connected through our regional infrastructure and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, can ignite an unprecedented transformation. A peaceful and integrated Great Lakes region will accelerate innovation, predictable government reduces risk, harmonized regulation lowers costs, and open borders increase trade, attracting value-added industries to our continent. For too long, Africa has exported raw materials only to import refined products at great cost. Our regional economic integration framework, Mr. President, that you have spoken to here, will build value chains in minerals, manufacturing, and agri-processing, creating jobs and creating wealth. The Great Lakes region stands at the threshold of a new era. Peace will open doors, integration will guide us, and private sector dynamism will propel us forward. In conclusion, as we celebrate progress in the DRC, we must not look away from other crises. I want to ask you respectfully, Mr. President, that in your quest for global peace, to support efforts to resolve the humanitarian catastrophe in Sudan. I thank you.
Excellence, le chef d'État et de gouvernement ici présent.
Heads of state and government, dear delegations, it is with great joy that I speak today before you in order to express my joy. There is a time for everything. There's a time for destruction, and there's a time to build. There's a time for despair, and there's a time for hope. Today, we are experiencing a great day. We are looking forward to this agreement, which will give back hope to the peoples of Congo and of the sub-region. I would like to congratulate everybody involved who made it this great day possible. We urge God to continue to guide us, to guide the steps of all people of goodwill who will become involved for its implementation. Committing oneself is something, but implementing is something else, which is why I call upon all of you, provide your contribution to actually implement this accord. As far as we are concerned, this agreement on regional economic integration, well, Burundi and the DRC already represent an economic community of the countries of the Great Lakes region. Burundi has a major role to play in order to indeed implement these existing cooperation agreements between the three states. We hope that together we'll be able to achieve a long-lasting peace and stability throughout the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I just want to introduce a friend of mine who I just noticed in the audience. He's in charge of a very small sport called here, soccer, over there, football. So nobody knows really what to call it. Johnny, thank you very much. The head of FIFA is here. And I can report to you that we have sold more tickets than any country anywhere in the world at this stage of the game, and I think we probably broke all records before you even get close. And you have a big event on Friday at the Trump Kennedy Center. Oh, excuse me, at the Kennedy Center. Pardon me, I've such a terrible mistake, Marco. At the Kennedy Center, and I look forward to seeing you there. But I want to congratulate you. No, it's really taken the world by storm. You've never done anything like what's happening in terms of ticket sales. I make a lot of enemies telling people, I'm sorry, I can't get you tickets. I just can't do it. But congratulations. You've done a fantastic job. A great leader in sports and a great gentleman. Thank you very much, Johnny. And now we're going to sign a very important agreement. Thank you. know you and you're very friendly, so I'll take it. Otherwise, I wouldn't take it. Go ahead.
Mr. President, we are witnessing a historic moment for Africa. My question to you is, when we will see the withdrawal of Rwandese troops from DRC, and when we will see the real peace? Because even now, we are witnessing historical peace, but people are being still killed.
DRC, because the troops continue there. Because this peace to be real, the troop needs to withdraw from DRC. When we will see the withdrawal,
I think you're going to see very quickly, I think you're going to see things happen. This is something that was not doable, according to a lot of people, and not only is it doable, I think it's going to be a great miracle. These two gentlemen are leaders, they're great leaders, and they're going to prove that in the coming months and years. And I think you're going to see very immediate results. I have confidence that that's what's going to happen. Thank you very much, everybody. That's a big deal. They like his people. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
It is 2 o'clock on the East Coast. The microphone has to be right about there. It is 2 o'clock on the East Coast, and thank you so much for streaming in. The president participating in a signing ceremony with the president of the Republic of Rwanda and the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo there at the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace. Now, a bit later today at 6 o'clock, the president and the first lady participate in the national Christmas tree lighting at the Ellipse there on the south lawn of the White House. So that's all happening later. 4 o'clock Eastern time is when our next live stream will start for that coverage. So for those of you that have been joining us for several hours now, thank you so much for doing so. This is all brought to you by a number of great sponsors, including Cove Pier. Now, during the holidays, at least most of the time, the diet goes out the door and schedules can get so busy with travel. But heading into the new year, it's always good to take a healthy turn. And one step that can be taken in the right direction is having Cove Pier in your house, because before the diets and workouts, you have to start with the water you're drinking. And Cove Pier, get this, is lab certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants from your water. That includes stuff like PFAs, pharmaceuticals, fluoride, lead, arsenic. It's the purest water you can get. And what I love about Cove Pier is it lets you actually choose the temperature of your water, hot, cold, or warm. And with Cove Pier, you can actually just hit that 16-ounce button on the screen there 4 times a day, and it makes it so easy to simply stay hydrated. So it makes your water taste great, pure, clean, and no aftertaste. Now, Cove Pier's last batch sold out in just a few days, and it's no surprise people are taking clean water seriously. But the good news is, while the units are on back order, they're giving our audience a special holiday discount of $250 off if you use the link covepure.com/RSBN. So you can reserve yours today to lock in the best price of the year. So don't miss out. Grab your unit while you still can. Also, mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, great Mike Lindell and great mypillow.com. Use the RSBN promo code. That'll save you a ton of money in time for Christmas. A lot of gifts that you can get there from mypillow.com. Longtime sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. As it's 2:00 December 4th. For all of us at Right Side Broadcasting Network, thanks so much for watching. We'll have our next live broadcast at 4 o'clock Eastern. If you'd like to follow us on X, it's at RSB Network. If it's on Truth Social, it's at RSBN. And I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you a bit later.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
Mr. President, as you well know, the American people are the most generous people in the entire world. In our country, when you are hungry, we feed you. When you are homeless, we house you. When you're too poor to be sick, we'll pay for your doctor. We spend trillions of dollars a year helping our friends and neighbors who are less fortunate than we are. And that's rare in this world. I've been all over our wonderful world. You have too, Mr. President. And in many countries, if you get down on your luck, they'll let you die in a ditch, but not in America. Not in America. We take care of our fellow citizens. But it's expensive. We spend trillions of dollars a year to do this. And that money that we spend didn't just fall from heaven. We thank heaven for it. But it came out of taxpayers' pockets. And we shouldn't lose sight of that fact, Mr. President. Now, that's why I get so irritated. Irritated is the wrong word. Angry. When I find out that people take advantage of the American people's generosity. It makes me it makes me want to knee someone in the groin. It just makes me furious. And I think the American taxpayers feel the same way. What I'm about to tell you, Mr. President, let me apologize in advance, is deeply disgusting. It's deeply disgusting. I mean, it is clown world on steroids. And when I first read about this, Mr. President, I read it a second time because I experienced slack-jawed astonishment. And when I read it a second time and I realized it was true, I just wanted to run away screaming. What am I talking about, Mr. President? We have discovered, the federal prosecutors have discovered, that for the last 5 years, there has been massive welfare fraud in the great state of Minnesota. Massive. Over $1 billion of American taxpayer money has been stolen. Just stolen. They can call it fraud, but a better term would be stealing. And this fraud has been centered in the Somali community in Minnesota. Now, I'm not here to criticize the Somali community. I'm here simply to describe what happened. The Somali community in Minneapolis is about 80,000 people. They're centered around Minneapolis. And let me say it again. I'm not here to denigrate the Somali people or people of Somali ancestry just because of the actions of a few. But it is a fact that this $1 billion in welfare fraud occurred almost exclusively in the Somali community in Minnesota and was orchestrated by people with Somali ancestry. That's a fact. Facts aren't racist. Facts are facts. So far, 59 people have been convicted, 86 have been charged, and 78 of them are of Somali ancestry. That's just a fact. Now, what these criminals did they had three very elaborate schemes. The first scheme was centered on supposedly feeding hungry children in the Somali community. A group, a nonprofit run by some people with Somali ancestry. The name of the nonprofit was called Feeding Our Future. Feeding Our Future. Feeding Our Future went to the welfare authorities in the state of Minnesota, which of course was administering federal taxpayer money, and they said, "Look, Feeding Our Children said, Feeding Our Future said, we want to feed hungry children in the Somali community." And the welfare people in state government in Minnesota gave them the money to do that. It started out very small. But the idea was that Feeding the Future, the Somali nonprofit organization, would take this federal taxpayer money, American taxpayer money, and go to businesses, most of which were Somali businesses, in the Somali community and set up feeding sites where they supposedly would take children to get a hot meal. On paper, it sounded great. As I say, it started out Very, very small, just a few $1 million. But eventually, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And more businesses in the Somali community signed up to be feeding sites. And Feeding Our Future, the Somali nonprofit, kept going back to the Social Services Department in Minnesota saying, we need more money, we need more money. And at the height of the fraud, they were spending about $100 million a year. Not over the lifetime of the program, $100 million a year. There's just one problem. There were no hungry children. There were hungry children. They just weren't getting any of the money. And the businesses, many of which were Somali owned, which were getting some money to feed the children from Feeding Our Future, the nonprofit that was quarterbacking this whole thing, they weren't giving any of the money to hungry children. They were spending it. These businesses were spending it on yachts and vacations and jewelry and furniture for their home. That was scheme number one. But it got worse. The second scheme was supposedly to help people who are homeless. Remember, I said in America, when you're homeless, we'll house you. Well, that's what they were trying to do in Minnesota. A nonprofit was set up, again run by someone of Somali ancestry. And this nonprofit went to a bunch of providers who supposedly were going to provide housing. And they told the welfare authorities in Minnesota that they needed millions of dollars to house people who were homeless. And once